Welcome to the We Are Wake Tech podcast with your host, Wake Tech President, Dr. Scott Ralls.
Hi, I'm Scott Ralls, host of the We Are Wake Tech podcast, and we're here today in the Center for Building Technologies, one of my favorite buildings on campus because of what happens here. It's a wonderful facility, a new facility, and two great Wake Tech leaders in a very important area for all of us. When we talk about skilled trades, when we talk about the future of opportunity, there's a lot of it here at the programs that reside in the Center for Building Technologies, led by two great individuals, Jimmy Freeman, Juan Benitez. Thank you so much for spending your time with all of us today on the We Are Wake Tech podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you for having us here.
Excited to have you. Tell us a little bit of your stories. You all bring great expertise to our students, and I know you came to this college with expertise. What was your journey to Wake Tech? How did you get here in these important leadership roles that you have?
I started my career actually as a junior in high school in Ohio. I went to a vocational school and took heating and air conditioning, and I've been in the trade since I was 16 years old. I had an instructor named Mr. Runyon when I was a junior in high school, and Mr. Runyon was a fabulous instructor, and I thought someday I would like to do that too. So I ended up going into the military as an air conditioning technician, and when I got out of the military, I got a job with Kroger Food Stores as a refrigeration technician. Had my own business after I left Kroger's to start my own business. Did that for 5 years, and then Wake Tech had an ad in a national publication looking for a program director. It'll be 16 years tomorrow when I started at Wake Tech. I applied for the job, and I got it, and I've been able to kind of be that Bill Runyon person for my students after that. So that's my journey to get here.
That's a great story. We owe something to Mr. Runyon as well to put that spark in you, and I know you've put that spark into many more who will follow in your footsteps, hopefully here someday, but also throughout our community.
Absolutely.
Juan, tell us your story.
My story is a little bit different because my family migrated from Panama here to the United States, and they resided in New York. And with deployment and getting in the Army, they were moved to North Carolina. So from North Carolina, from Fayetteville, they moved into Raleigh, and that's when I came over here. So in 2001, I came to this country, and then I decided to go ahead and take classes on courses because I didn't know exactly. I had already a background on electronics, but I kind of wanted to see how things were done in the areas of skilled trades. So I started taking my first electrical classes. My instructor was at that time Mike Myers, that he still was an instructor for almost 30 years for Wake Tech for continuing education. So I started taking courses with him, and then I started realizing I wanted to take more courses at Wake Tech. So I started taking more courses, and then I entered into the field of electrical with my instructor as one of my supervisors in the company that I worked for in the city of Raleigh for probably like 3 years. And then I was basically called one time to do a class that will be a continuing education class that will combine English as a second language plus a skilled trade class. And this class was electrical, so that's what I started teaching for Wake Tech as an adjunct instructor, and this is 2005. So I started in 2005 doing continuing education classes, and then as I was in the trade and classes started becoming a little more often, then a position open for continuing ed to teach inside of the prison system. That was the continuing education classes for what they call it correctional education. And that's what I started in 2008. On January 7, 2008, I started teaching for continuing ed as a full-time temp. And that's was my beginning at Wake Tech as a full-time temp, and then from there full-time instructor until I moved from the continuing ed into the curriculum education. I took courses and I got an associate degree here. And at that time was Mr. Moore, the director of the electrical program, and then he offered me a position when I completed as an instructor for the program electrical. So that's what I started my journey here in the electrical system program, and then became the director after he retired.
Well, you all have been longtime stalwarts here at Wake Tech, and you've really built something here as well. We'll talk about the literal where we're sitting, but what you've also, and what you are building are these programs that are so vital to the needs of our community right now. And I'm going to let you describe it because it's really, there is overlap in skill sets, but you have these different tracks. And so one is AHR. I always Jimmy will help me because I always get this a little bit wrong, but it is air conditioning, heating, and refrigeration. And kind of starts with the first year and then expands out into the different specialties. And then Juan is electrical and facility maintenance and has similar, and then sometimes there's overlaps that can happen. So, but if you think of all of it together, there's some of the most important skill sets that our communities and our country needs now, and they're just growing in terms of demand. So riff on that a little bit. Talk about it. Tell us how this works and why Wake Tech is so important in this vital skill area.
We have heard from industry that it wasn't that long ago I was in a meeting, I heard for every 7 retirees in the skilled trades, only 4 people are entering the skilled trades. So, you know, those numbers are concerning. And in addition to that, we're in an area where there's a lot of growth. Every building that gets built, you have all the skilled trades involved, that not only to build the structure, but to maintain the structure. So what we do here is we bring students in, and they know, most of the students who walk in here know, the expectation is they'll know nothing. We take them from ground zero. Their first semester, we teach them the basics. Their first 3 semesters, we kind of give them that really solid foundation. And this is for the air conditioning, heating, and refrigeration program. And then their last 2 semesters, they can pick kind of where they really think their career will take them. And one thing that you find in skilled trades is there's a big umbrella called air conditioning, heating, and refrigeration. But within that umbrella, there's a lot of different areas that you specialize in. So what we focused on here is commercial refrigeration. You think about all the restaurants, all the convenience stores, grocery stores. People have to be able to work on that equipment, and that equipment, although it has compressors and evaporators, it operates different control systems, different temperature ranges. So we kind of focus on that career. Or we got commercial air conditioning, where you've got the big buildings, chillers, hydronics, and VRF equipment. So those students really, that's what we emphasize there. And one of the things we're seeing in industry as technology keeps growing is we're getting these smart buildings, and we're getting all these controls that you really have to be tech savvy to be able to understand, troubleshoot. So that's where building automation comes in. Building automation is that technician that understands how the system operates, but also is really a tech savvy person, kind of like a IT person merges with a heating and air refrigeration. And it's even bigger than that, because we're not just controlling the HVAC systems, we're controlling lighting, we're controlling security. So that is that BAT track. So students who come in, their first 3 semesters are really foundational to get you to where now you're ready to say, what's my specialty going to be? And then you move into that specialty going into your last 2 semesters.
You ever see students come back and pick up another specialty?
We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of students who will do one, and they will take an elective class and another one to kind of already get it taken care of. And there's probably between 4 and 5 class difference between each track. So if someone does want to come back and get an additional track, the first 3 semesters all count, and then a class or 2 from their last 2 semesters also will apply. And we see that we get a lot of veterans that are very interested in the skilled trades. And, you know, I'm a veteran myself, and I always tell my veterans the same thing. They're not given anything. They don't earn everything they get. But if they still got VA benefits, and they can utilize those to get additional training, take advantage of it. And we do see that.
Yeah. Well, we enter November and Veterans Day. It's an appropriate time to be talking about our veterans and the great role they can and opportunities they can find here at Wake Tech. Before I turn to Juan, this building automation piece, that was a Wake Tech innovation. And I know, didn't we have a National Science Foundation grant for that program? That's been something unique here.
Absolutely. Gentleman named John Clevenger started heading that up with industry and some state stakeholders, and they needed more training for this smart technology. And then under the leadership of the dean, we put in for a National Science Foundation grant and was awarded almost $500,000 to develop these additional BAT courses that we're still in the process of right now. And that was part of, when we had our instructor conference here, one of the things we were able to do was share with other schools some of the technology and coursework that we've developed here under that National Science Foundation grant. So it's really an exciting program that we are in the end of that grant, but still finalizing and working on.
And we should do a shout out. You mentioned our very innovative dean, Laura Eddington, who also, and Juan, you've been involved in a National Science Foundation grant as well in your area. We'll talk about that in just a second. But share with us then the electrical facility maintenance side and how that comes together and works off different tracks.
Well, our electrical system program is also modeled in a 2-year degree that we have. We have a diploma, certificates, and we have a track for the electrical system program. The way that is developed is that the students are coming, do the classes for residential, commercial installations or industrial, wiring. And then within the first 3 semesters of this program is where we are putting the basic concepts, that they're gonna need and require for their development into their program, the electrical. So after, just like Mr. Freeman said, after their 4th or 5th, semester, that will be like second years, that's when they start realizing what path they're gonna take, a renewable energy track. So we have basically, thanks to the dean also, and to the Wake Tech, we were able to, secure funds so we can upgrade these classes and these renewable energy courses. That is a photovoltaic system, so how solar panel technology is utilized and installed. So we are upgrading our classes on courses so the student can understand, the new renewable energy that is really, in high demand right now, since, all the things are happening with the development of electric vehicles. Now renewable energy is really a good focal point. So we try to focus our last part of our program into this track, or a business track that could be taken online for students that are deciding to go into the electrical side and then create a business on their own, or the photovoltaic system that is a renewable path that the student takes so they can go ahead and start learning the technology of renewable energy or advanced renewable energy. So we have boards that we allow these students to put together and then understand how these systems are working. We also do in the facility maintenance because it's a share of courses between the AHR program and the electrical program. So we have classes where the students are taking electrical courses, heating and air courses, and then on their second year, when they start realizing that what they're really going to be taking, or what is going to be their niche, or their path is going to be the building automation courses, that this is part of like Mr. Freeman said, his program has that one. Well, facility maintenance, actually their second year students are really taking all the building automation courses that we are offering here at Wake Tech. So they are taking an advantage of all this technology that we are using, all this equipment that we have here set up in the classrooms, and they are kind of using it now, putting it together, making sure that they understand the concept, because like we said, it's all controls related to electrical, related to heating and air conditioning, and pretty much everything. Even our partners and other advisory committees are letting us know that the technology that we have and the technician that we have to train have to be able to understand and use this technology, because this is what every single building right now And all of our advisory committees are basically telling us, even including the Board of Electrical Contractors, they were telling us that the city of Raleigh right now has so many projects, so many buildings coming up
See
in
the
the
cranes.
next 30 years. So they see all this technology included in that. So they talk about my technicians that they have to be able to understand every single aspect of it. And this is the facility maintenance allows that the student to understand that.
You kind of together have hit on a theme, and we have another National Science Foundation grant. Wake Tech's been very successful recently with National Science Foundation grants. Laurie Eddington been a big driver, our dean, in that are contributing to our programs. But we have one that is Industry 4.0. We also call Super Tech, and there's kind of a Super Tech theme it seems to weave through this, in that I want to let you describe it, because I know facility maintenance is part of this Super Tech, but it's kind of, you can see this theme emerging where Super Techs have skills across multiple technologies they're going to encounter, and that's impacting in also a lot of our industrial work as well with some of the big biopharmas and others. So talk about Super Tech and the 4.0.
This grant basically that we were able to have the funds required for that is allowing us to get 4 programs into this program that we're calling the 4.0 industry for the Super Tech. So it's a facility maintenance program, is the electronic technology program, is the mechatronics is incorporated that, and the biopharma, the associate degree is actually incorporated. So we are trying to train students that can go through different disciplines. So if we have a student that's starting on biopharma and he needs to understand the manufacturing process and understand the equipment and the components and the facility that they are working, they are not only have to depend on facility maintenance technician or to come and help them out. They be able to understand the system and the process happening within the facility, so they can go ahead and pinpoint problems, and they could be more proactive in trying to find solutions than waiting for somebody else to tell them. So we are now creating classes that will become certificates. So biopharma students can take some classes on their program and complete 2 classes on the facility maintenance, and they can get a certificate it will incorporate the industry, the 4.0 industry. The same for the mechatronics. They can take classes on biopharma, and they are now basically able to go ahead and work in a lab environment. So the idea is that incorporate this technician that we were trying to see that it was a technician per trade. Now we have one technician that is on one trade, but also be able to understand the surroundings of the other trades around them. So our grant basically right now is in the point where we are creating the certificates. We have the classes already incorporated, and we are basically training our instructors so they can have a better understanding of the equipment that they are dealing. We are basically going to training for Delta V, that is the equipment that is a biopharma equipment, and the processes that really are happening in a biopharma industry. So the technician not only is able to understand, the process from the point of view of the biopharma with the process and the batches and the materials that they're using to mix these pharmaceutical components, but they actually understand the equipment behind it. So if they have an issue or problem, they can go ahead and pinpoint it and at least be proactive and try to solve the problem instead of waiting for the equipment or equipment is stopped and they cannot do anything really.
Right. It's that's vitally important. We had a reporter from Boston down last week looking to see why is this area such a hub now for biopharma manufacturing. And I think, where we're leading at Wake Tech in multiple areas related, but it's also how things come together. So these super techs, which can be biopharma or it could be EV or could be multiple types of production areas. And I'm trying to get this right in my head because this is so important, but it's the cross-section of facilities maintenance, mechatronics, electronics, and biopharma, and these specific pulling from these core skill sets to create a unique super tech, which is being created here at Wake Tech. Did I get that right?
Yep. It's perfect.
Well, I can tell you, I want to get it right because it is so vital to the industry partners I talked to. I've been with 2 major biopharmas in the last few weeks, and they'll both talk about how core those skill sets are that cut across, what we think of as biotech, but in the industrial and the facility maintenance and the automation side. So kudos again to you all for being ahead of this curve. One other thing too, before we move on to, we're very partnered in everything we do. You've mentioned advisory committees. We'll talk a little bit about this lab. Jimmy, I'll let you kind of share that in a second. But we also partner so much with our education partners and our public schools we've been partnered with, because we have 4 early college high schools, or 2 that are career and college high schools. One is a very unique high school in Raleigh called Vernon Malone, where students who are trained by Wake Tech instructors who are there migrate over here. And that's just a great, great partnership. If you've ever been to Vernon Malone, it's just a remarkable place. And we are proud to be joined at the hip with Wake County Public Schools on that high school, as well as Northern Wake and our 2 other early colleges. But can you all talk about that transition from Vernon Malone here that happens in the high school transition?
Usually the students that are in Vernon Malone, they have their core courses, related to the Wake County Public School system, but they have their track that is basically where they're going to be specializing on. Most of these students are basically in the morning time. They are in sections that they are doing classes with instructors or teachers that they are Wake County Public School teachers, but then within the morning to the afternoon, they move into the classes that they are part of the Wake Tech Community College system. The track courses that we have set up for them, that could be heating technologies or air conditioning or welding technologies or electrical. So the students are moving between sections through the day, whether in the morning time or the afternoon, they are moving to these different classes. So they are basically having a little bit of understanding of what we are doing over here. The classes that they are taking exactly matches our courses here. So they are right now doing an early college inside of this high school system, and they are getting trained exactly what we are training our students that are coming for first year for community college here. They are getting that training over there. So I usually try to stop, at least once a month over there and kind of, encourage these students, please guys, make sure that you understand that you are needed right now. You are part of this industry that you may not see it right now. Right now they are signed or they're registered as a facility maintenance associate degree students. So, but sometimes they basically start finding their path into air conditioning or AHR programs, or their welding, or they may say, well, I'm going to be electrical really. But I always try to encourage them that even though they are picking up this path that they may take after they complete their high school, that they have to remember they already completed so many other courses on their facility programs that they can come over here, and within the 2 years that a regular student coming out of high school takes to take an associate degree here, because they are in Vernon Malone, they can complete 2 associate degrees within the same time.
So they've really started so young in their process that they can develop a lot of skill sets in the same period of time that others would.
And there is a lot of partnering, with the industry too. There's so many companies that their policy is not to try to make workers or buying workers, but they're trying to make these workers. So they want to start in these high schools. They want to participate. They want to sponsor them in any way that they can. So we have a lot of industry and partners that they are going to the high school and try to support us in that way.
Somebody told me a story a couple of years ago. I don't know if this is right, or you may know. I'm sure it happens all the time, maybe. But there was a student from Vernon Malone who was, I think, air conditioning was the area, and making a tremendous hourly salary for the summer working with a company, but he couldn't drive yet, and so the company was picking him up at the house and dropping him off in the afternoon. I was sharing that with my boys, is that nobody's picking y'all up and
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that was the company was Piedmont, and the young man, they'd pick him up and take him home at the end of the day, because, there's rules about driving company vehicles. You still got to obey all the regulations that's out there. So, but one of the neat things about Vernon Malone too, that I've been able to be to and see a couple times, they have something called a signing day, and it's almost like the the people who go on to win the scholarships
Sports.
and go to, but it's signing to go to work for Piedmont Service Group or Newcomb and Company, or, you know, these industry partners that are so invested in the school that they'll have a signing day where these, and it's really neat the way they do that.
It's like another high school's version of their athletes signing day.
If you attend one of those, it just really, it's something you won't forget because it's really highlighting and the impact for that student. And, you know, me coming from my background, starting in a high school and never leaving this industry for all those years, you know there are those students there that someday are going to follow in my footsteps and say, I got involved in this at Vernon Malone High School, or you know, right after I graduated and I came to Wake Tech. So
they have a Mr. Runyon out there.
They have a Mr. Runyon out there, absolutely.
Yeah, so you've been hitting onto the part of our secret sauce is just these great industry partnerships, industries who participate on our advisory committees and are very honest with us and tell us, hey, do more of that and don't do as much of that. Industries that will participate in signing days, as you mentioned, but we're sitting in the Donald J. Brady lab of the Center for Building and Technologies, which is a new building, relatively new here at Wake Tech. Just reopened it during COVID. I remember we were all masked up when we had our opening day. But here we are, and this is a great, great facility for this important part of our college. Jimmy, can you share a little bit about, you know, what this lab is and within this overall facility? And I know we're also doing some other, going back behind our old labs and doing some things with refrigeration and other things. Put it in context of what's here now relative to where we were, say, 10 years ago.
So when this building was under construction and we were getting close to completing it, I go to a conference typically for HVAC educators across the country. And while I was there, an industry partner there was talking about donations. And I happened to mention it when I got back at a Brady train meeting. And the next thing I know, one of the Brady train members is on my advisory committee. Next thing I know, I got contacted by Brady, and Brady offered to give us, it's almost $200,000 worth of equipment plus install to put what is known as a METIS lab, which is Mitsubishi Electric Train US. And at the time, and I think still, it's the only METIS lab in a community college in the country. And it's Wake Tech's equipment, and they gave it to us. So, and the agreement is when we're not in session, they can train industry here, which also is great because it brings industry in our building and lets industry see, hey, if I need to get someone trained, I'm sending them out to Wake Tech. So that was kind of like the first step in this. Then we found it so easy. Industry wanted to get behind this thing. We had another company, Faulkner Haynes. Ernie Faulkner said, I want to donate something to the new building. Well, they gave us a $25,000 VRF system. You know, John Stone Supply said, we want to be involved. And they gave us a donation of free supplies valued at $25,000. Piedmont Service Group gave us a donation for naming rights to it was almost funny how industry was knocking down our door to do this. And Newcomb and Company, they sponsored both classrooms downstairs for a donation. And then Juan, I'll let you take over with your group.
Well, we following, Mr. Freeman's step and the industry. As soon as I took over the program, we had the initiative on the building. So what I tried to get is a Schneider Electric, one of the first companies, that support us, and they donated $25,000 in equipment. And then as soon as the company realized that the other two manufacturers of the United States, biggest manufacturers, Siemens and Eaton, decided, well, we want to support you too. So they donated, money to and also equipment to our facility. And then Eaton actually sponsored one of our classrooms downstairs. And then little by little, now we have the last company that supported us was Captive Air. It's a company that does.
That's just recent.
Yes,
Captive Air.
just
Great.
recently did that support that they want to make sure, and not only they support us with sponsoring the classroom, they actually build equipment for troubleshooting in our classes. So they found out a way that they could go ahead and implement troubleshooting settings on their equipment that they build, and they basically cater it to the classes that we have, so we can go ahead and do the same kind of troubleshooting setting that they are doing in their facilities. So our students kind of have a taste of exactly this equipment that you will see on the field, exactly the same kind of equipment that are troubleshooting in our classroom. So we do have a lot of partners supporting us and providing us this help that we need to support our students.
This place is sort of like a race car. And I was telling somebody about that. That was an aspiration with a new building we have, but that's a Wake Tech model, but it comes sponsored by sponsor. I know you can even look downstairs. We have Highwoods, where a lot of the big buildings, and they sponsor our lounge downstairs. There's multiple. This building is like a race car, and we're proud of that because it also shows our students where their opportunity is, and it's a great example too. Sometimes it's hard to understand. I think you all just had your advisory committee pretty recently, right? Recent meeting. So you all do this a couple times a year, and we learn and listen to each other. So that was a case that was sparked by industry hearing us, you, Jimmy, in this case, saying a need that then Brady jumped on, and then others followed with other things. But then we also listen and react probably much quicker than people would anticipate a college reacting to need. And one of the ways that's been seen recently is moving to the 2-day scheduling model, which I think is something that we don't highlight enough. And it's so important because it really allows the learn and earn model for you to work and go to school. It allows in many places the apprenticeship model. But that scheduling requires an extra bit of challenge for you all, but it's so important for these particular programs. Can you talk about the 2-day model and what that is and how that's important to your programs?
Absolutely. Each year, your advisory committee comes up with an initiative, something that we want to work on. And one of the challenges we had over my time being here is industry wants our students, but for years we had what we had would be the morning group and the afternoon group, and then all the classes were around lunchtime. So, and industry had trouble using students if they're here 5 days a week, half a day. So the advisory committee initiative about 7 years ago was to schedule our classes so students can be full-time, but it's like a job. They're out here from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m., some weeks 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., but it's 2 days and then they're done. And that way industry can hire them on the non-scheduled days. So industry gets them 3 or more days a week, because last time I checked, there's 7 days in a week, and sometimes industry even uses them on a
sometimes
Saturday.
You need electricians
So it has been so successful. Industry loves the schedule, students love the schedule, and it's a win for everyone, because what we're seeing is our students, they're being recruited their very first semester. We have a lot of opportunity at Wake Tech with our different other areas that help industry come into to see our students. And from, like Ian Gibbons and John Wojcik with apprenticeships, and they will come in and recruit out of the first semester. And years ago, the recruiting would be the last semester. Right. Now we tell employers they've got jobs by then, come the first semester. But we see students' education just explode when they're out in industry the other days, when they're not here, because they're getting to see it every day. And there's things in a lab in a classroom that we have to admit, we're limited by a lab in a classroom. When you're out in the real world, you see a problem, you fix that problem that day, you get that system up and running, and So it's been super successful. I never see us going away from that model now that we have it. I hear now that other community colleges, when we had our conference, I heard another community college now is taking that, and there's no better flattery than that. You know what I'm saying? So, and Juan, you tell them how yours works.
Well, the way that it works is that as an instructor during that time where we have the setting of the electrical system 5 days a week, mornings, and 5 days a week afternoon, I asked Mr. Freeman and said, what do we do it was a conversation probably like 4 years ago, I said, how do you guys do these classes that you come 2 days a week? And then he explained it to me, this is what we do, and this is what we set it up. So then at that time I was the director of the program, but I kind of was a little bit curious about this. How can this work? And then when I talked to him and he showed me and how to do it, then I start following the same pattern. So that brought basically to our program an explosion of classes. Our programs and our classes start increasing a little bit more and more, and then the students start finding out that within the second semester of their classes, they were already kind of ready to be going to the field because they already had 2-3 days off that they could go ahead and use it. So they start finding, jobs. We start recruiting with Ian, with Mr. John, everything, getting these students in different partners that they are partnering with us in the industry. And now it's just basically like he said, it's an explosion of classes. I have sections that is kind of difficult sometimes to put this puzzle of classes to make sure that they come.
I'm sure it is difficult.
2 days.
Yeah.
But we try to do as much as we can 2 days a week so they can have the other days.
Well, I think it is one of those things. Sometimes I guess.
It just needs movement. Yeah. There we go. All right.
Did you get that on camera there, Jim? So great. So we're talking about building automation, and if you don't have enough activity going, the lights turn out. And that's what just happened. So we'll keep that going. You want to keep that? Sure, let's keep that. It's an example of building automation where we are right now.
Saving energy.
Yeah. Now let me get my thoughts back. But that being said, what we're talking about was what was really a game-changing innovation that probably, when you hit on it, you didn't really realize what the potential was. But the reason why it's game-changing is, and I've seen this in other programs too, automotive in this way and others, where students now are really being hired the first semester. Before the model that people had, the traditional college model, you go, you come out, you get a job. Here, you go, you get a job, and you go to college, and you learn your skill, and you work at the same time. And that's a game changer for students because they're working in the field from the beginning, not after they graduate. Is that a fair statement?
That is an absolute fair statement.
Yeah.
We see it over and over again. And it is the students win, industry wins, Wake Tech wins. Anytime everyone wins, you got to say that's a really great thing.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and it helps a lot really the students because now they don't have to wait until the very end of their semester to try to figure out where they are going.
Yeah.
And I kind of telling our industry partners that they get on this wagon with us because they're sometimes thinking that they have to wait until the student has to complete it. I said, no, this student will have a job probably before he completes the program.
That's right, you can't wait till the end.
You can't wait until hiring them. So get them now.
Yeah.
Just don't buy the employee. Just make this employee from now and then work with him to give him, the opportunity so he can complete his classes, his degree while he's working for them.
Yeah. Sometimes I chuckle when, sometimes people try to box you in like a traditional college, and they'll ask, do your students get jobs after their programs? And oftentimes will chuckle just a little. It's like, they get jobs when they start our programs, not when they finish our programs because of the skills they learn. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Let's wrap this up. We could talk all day. I love what you all are doing. I love the innovation that takes place across your programs in this division. I love the connection with industry. I love that there's so much opportunity. Sometimes when I'll tell people, how do you tell an electrician? They're the ones that have the big trucks with the big boats behind them driving all around because they're making a lot of money. But you started with a quote, Jimmy, when we're talking about whether it's, heating and air, electrician, or facility maintenance, all these opportunities. But we also struggle because we are seeing the aging out. You quoted, I've heard another quote that would justify that as saying that, in 2019, over 70% of the licensed electricians in North Carolina were above the age of 50. So as a final part of this podcast, put on your best sales hat pitch. What pitch would you make to that young person right now to come to Wake Tech, go into this field, because we need them? Jimmy, you go first.
My best pitch is this isn't an option if you can't go to college. This is a college, and this is an option that you really ought to think about if you want to have a great career. One of the things that I battled when I was in high school, I was a, straight A student, a B every now and then. And when I chose to go to a skilled trade, I had teachers thinking they were doing me a service by calling me in and telling me I need to go to a 4-year college.
Yeah.
I have students who graduate and make over $50K their first year in industry. And I had a really cool thing happen about 2 years ago. Me and my wife were walking in the neighborhood. There was a really nice service truck sitting there, and I walked past it, and I heard someone say, "Mr. Freeman," and I turned around, and there's one of my students who graduated about 5 years earlier. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" We chatted a minute, and I said, "Who you working for?" He said, "This is mine. I'm working for me." So whether you want to be an entrepreneur, open your own business, work for a large company that's a contractor, we have Duke Health that's coming out here next Tuesday that is they're recruiting out of our first semester students for, a great position in what we call in-house maintenance. This is a career. And
Absolutely.
it's something people ought to consider as an option, period.
Not a alternative, a number one option.
A number one
Absolutely.
option. You ought to look at this as a number one option of where I can go and make a great living. I provided well for my family the entire time, and I've been in it since I've been 16 years old. So
and you've changed a lot of lives, like Mr. Ryan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, after following
Wrap it up. Bring it home here, Juan.
So the way that I see is this. I think these skills are timeless in the sense of it's not only a student starting from high school or leaving high school to start this. Anybody that is deciding to change their career, these skills are something that you can get. So education is something that you can earn, and it's really fast. It's a fast-paced education, but at the same time, concentrating on the skill that you're going to require for the industry. So I will say that not only the student is starting, from high school, that they want to come over here and take this program and get a good salary, like Mr. Freeman said. I have stories like that of people that already, they see me on the street and they have their license as an electrical license, they have their companies, and I just realized right away, I say, wow, how did it happen? I say, well, I took my path, I completed my classes, but also I see people that want to try to turn around where they are, working on what they are doing, and they want to turn around and say, well, I think I want to do this skill, and it's still, it's something that can be done. It's something that still allows you to go ahead and have a flexibility to keep working while you're changing career path. And it will open doors, to everything, and it will be something that is still can make you successful.
Well, you both have indicated timeless is a good word, because it's timeless in this never too early or never too late to get started, but there's so much to add on to, and there's so much where we're going with the new things that are coming, whether it's EV or other areas, that building automation, that you can keep learning and keep growing and keep making money and add entrepreneurship to it and start a company if that's what you want to do. And you can do that at Wake Tech too through our entrepreneurship programs. We're very fortunate at Wake Tech to be, we are Wake Tech and we are skilled trades. And that's particularly thanks to Jimmy Freeman and Juan Benitez, who have been our guests today on the We Are Wake Tech podcast. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Look for us next month for the next episode of We Are Wake Tech. Any place where you find your podcast. And we'll see you next time.
I'm Joshua McKinney with your Wake Tech News Update. Proud graduates celebrated with their family and friends at fall commencement exercises. 2 ceremonies were held at our Scott Northern Wake campus. Hundreds of families and friends watched with pride as graduates ranging in age from 17 to 69 turned their tassels. In all, more than 800 graduates received degrees and diplomas. Don't forget, Wake Tech offers programs in 13 career fields, including advanced manufacturing, biotechnology, education, engineering, healthcare and wellness, and more. New students can apply now at apply.waketech.edu. The first day of classes for spring semester, January 8th, 2024. Wake Tech is pleased to announce the Tinney Group, LLC, as the 100th WakeWorks apprenticeship partner. WakeWorks, now in its 3rd year, is a partnership between Wake Tech and Wake County to address the county's shortage of technical workers, giving students a unique opportunity to earn an income while getting an education and learning new skills. To learn more, visit wakeworks.waketech.edu. 15 new and revised articulation agreements between Wake Tech and William Peace makes it easier for students to finish their bachelor's degrees. The new Peace Pathway creates a smooth transition from Wake Tech to WPU in a variety of program areas. Some Wake Tech graduates will be able to complete a bachelor's degree in less than 2 years, saving them time and money. Wake Tech's Public Training Safety Academy was awarded national accreditation by the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies Incorporated, CALEA, in the Training Academy program. The academy, located at the college's Public Safety Education campus, was first accredited in 2012. Student researchers in Wake Tech's innovative STEM Academic Research and Training START program took center stage to present their discoveries at the Fall 2023 Student Showcase. 54 students studying science, math, engineering, and technology at Wake Tech gained hands-on experience this semester as paid research interns in the START program. To learn more, visit start.waketech.edu. 200 Wake Tech engineering students put their design skills to the test during the innovative Rube Goldberg machine building competition. 44 teams of students in the Associate in Engineering program had to rely on the principles of physics, gravity, force, mechanics, magnetism, sound waves, light, and electricity to design and complete their innovations. Wake Tech baking students showcased their skills in the much-anticipated Baker's Row. The popular event takes place twice a year at the Scott Northern Wake campus and includes sweet and savory treats, European cakes, and fresh bread. Students made baked goodies entirely from scratch. They sold everything from savory biscuits, pimento cheese, quiche, cakes, cookies, chocolates, and brownies. Wake Tech student Quentin Taylor is celebrating after taking home first place in 2 competitions held at the Scott Northern Wake campus. Taylor, who sang and played the piano, defeated 8 other finalists to win Wake Tech Idol and received a $2,000 scholarship from the Wake Tech Foundation. Taylor also finished first in a pitch competition prior to Wake Tech Idol for students enrolled in the Business of Music for Entrepreneurs class, a 10-week workforce continuing education course. And that's a wrap for 2023. We leave you this year with some sights and sounds from Wake Tech Idol. We hope you have a happy and safe holiday season. We'll see you in 2024.
Hello, my name is Chef Aaron Stump and I'm an instructor here at Wake Technical Community College. And today I have selected some food, some pro tips for your holiday menu. I have put together a smorgasbord. I have a wide variety here. I'm going from left to right. We have a chocolate cake from our baking class. We have some chutneys and naan, and watermelon salad from our international cuisine class. We have some French bombs back there in the back, which are just mousse glazed with holiday colors. And then we have a mango tapioca layered glass there. Then we have Spritz cookies from Germany. All right, so I'm gonna assemble these Korean dumplings, and I have prepared wonton wrappers from the grocery store. I'm just going to place these down on the ground. I have some filling here made out of pork, tofu, and shrimp. It's a pound of ground pork that I've actually ground myself. You can buy ground pork at the grocery store. It will work just fine. I like fattier pork, all right? And I'm just putting like a ½ ounce or a scoop in each one. Also, I season this pound of pork with a teaspoon of ground ginger or grated ginger, a teaspoon of grated garlic, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a little bit of fish sauce, a little bit of sugar, brown sugar. All right, so I have the 4 laid out with the filling. I've used water to glue these together. I'm just going to fold them over, press them together like a little hat. Again, a traditional dumpling would be round, but I'm just going with square. We're going to place them in boiling water. You can also steam them. So here we go into the boiling water. And I have them ready here. Place them on the plate and garnish them with a mixture of Chinese black vinegar and sesame oil. And I have some scallion here. And that's it, Korean dumplings. I hope these pro tips help differentiate your holiday preparations.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Wake Tech podcast. Join us next month for more insightful conversations about the programs and people of Wake Tech and how the college changes lives every day. Be sure to subscribe to your favorite podcast app to have each episode delivered right to your computer or mobile device. For more, find us at podcast.waketech.edu. To learn more about Wake Tech's exceptional educational opportunities, visit waketech.edu.